Hello there, I'm Dan the Gaming Man and it's time for yet another game review. Today we'll take a look at What the Golf, which is available on PC, Mac and Nintendo Switch. If you go on to enjoy the video, please consider subscribing to my channel for similar content. Now let's take a look at this crazy golf game and see if it's below par or terrific. Sorry. What the Golf was developed and published by Triband, who crowdfunded the project through now defunct crowdfunding website Fig. The development team wanted to create a game that included as many puns and gags as possible and opted for a golf game, as it would allow for short levels that could cram in as many laughs for the player as possible. The game was released on Apple Arcade on the 19th of September 2019. And on the 1st of October 2019, a Windows port was made available via the Epic Games Store. Nintendo Switch received a port on the 21st of May 2020 as well. The game was well received by critics. Among the reviews, it received an 88 out of 100 from PC Gamer. The humour of the game seemed to be appreciated by most reviewers, something that probably pleased the developers knowing how much emphasis they'd put on this. It was nominated for several awards and actually won the Game Developers' Choice Award for Best Mobile Game in 2020. What the Golf doesn't have much of a plot, but from what I can gather, the main idea here is that you enter a science lab full of golf-related experiments that have been set up by a group of scientists who thought the game was boring and needed to be made more interesting. They did this by adding various elements, each as insane as the next. So you have to smack your golf ball around the laboratory to unlock new areas and new challenges as you go. If you're expecting a traditional golf game, you are very much in the wrong place. This is a slapstick comedy game with very little in common with a sport that you'd associate with the likes of Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy and Greg Norman, to name a few. I could name more. No, honestly I could. I just don't want to. Nick Faldo. Each level of this game is slightly different to the rest, but the objective just about remains the same, and that is to reach the hole, or more specifically the flag. Sometimes you'll need to hit a ball towards the hole, other times you'll be swinging for something else, including cars, footballs, sofas, and even the golfers themselves. I have to say that What the Golf is a lot of fun, and I did find myself laughing out loud several times at the sheer absurdity of some of the levels. There's plenty of variety in the levels too. As well as the 3D levels, there are a handful of 2D stages and also a few that look like they belong on the original Game Boy. I really enjoyed the levels that were nods to other classic games such as Super Mario, Donkey Kong, Flappy Bird, and an old favourite of mine, Angry Birds. The controls are very easy to get used to. I played this game on PC with my mouse and got to grips with it instantly. The game also caters for those who prefer controllers, and I can only assume that the controls are just as simple. Visually, this reminds me of Donut County, which is another game that's referenced in What the Golf, or at least the game mechanic is featured at one point. The visuals are minimalistic, but their simplicity is effective and it fits What the Golf, as it isn't supposed to be a AAA game, it's just ridiculous fun. It can be picked up and played without ever taking itself too seriously. I always enjoy a game that features ragdoll physics, and What the Golf has this in many of its levels, including the ones that feature driving your golfer, opposed to the ball, towards the hole. I do enjoy seeing his body flopping around as he flies along the course. The visuals do what they need to do, so no complaints from me. The soundtrack of What the Golf is pretty good. It definitely matches the style of the game. That is that it's chilled at times and funny occasionally too. The sound effects are just what you'd expect. The sound of a golf club being swung, a ball being hit, a desk chair being rolled along, and a couch hitting a flag. That is not a sentence I thought I'd ever be saying out loud, though I have often thought it internally. The sound definitely adds to the game, so even though you might be tempted to play this one while you've got Spotify on, other streaming services are available by the way, I'd suggest just letting the game's music wash over you so you can fully immerse yourself in the ridiculousness of What the Golf.
Yeah! Good shot.
It's about time.
Hey, it is about time. I mean, I just couldn't get the ball in the hole. I wanted to, but I just couldn't do it.
It's hard to specify the genre of this one. Is it a sports game? Well, yes, in the loosest possible way. Is it a comedy game? Yes, of course. But it features so many different game mechanics that it's actually a bit of everything. It's a football game, a platformer, a first-person shooter, a third-person shooter. If you were to press me, I suppose I'd say this is a puzzle game, as each level does involve an element of problem solving, but hats off to the developers for giving us so much variety. I'm going to give this game a 7.5. I was leaning towards an 8, but then I remembered I'd given that score to Katamari in a previous review, and I feel that that is a slightly better game. I'll put a card in the top right corner for anyone who wants to watch that review. But I have to say, if you're looking for a game that's challenging at times whilst managing to make you laugh occasionally, then What the Golf is definitely worth considering. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you. Please consider subscribing. We recently hit 250 subscribers and I'm now targeting 500. So why not help me get a step closer to that milestone? In return, I can promise you more reviews, and I'm working on another top 10 video as well. And for anyone who's interested, I've included some links to What the Golf on Switch and Steam in the description below if you want to pick up a copy. It's often on sale, so it's definitely worth adding to your wish list at the very least. Until next time, stay safe and keep gaming.